First, I need to get a motion to approve the minutes of the May 12th and the May 24th meeting. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Junior. All those, any changes or corrections? All right, all those in favor, please state aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. For our informational items, our first item is our PCAPS monthly report. Hi, Becky.
All right, so you have my report there, I'm sure. You'll notice that I've added a page this month with some updates. I am excited to report on a grant that we had received earlier this year and give you an update about that. The grant we received was from the Best Friends Animal Society, and it was for a remodel of our adoption dog kennels, which we're still in the planning phases, and for the enrichment program, which included the addition of playgroups in our shelter. And so on about March, mid-March, we had a group called Dogs Playing for Life, and they came and joined us at the shelter for a training session over the course of the weekend. They trained both our staff and our volunteers how to appropriately put dogs into playgroups, but also how to use playgroups to modify behavior of the dogs in our shelter. And I'm excited to report some numbers in response to this program. You'll notice on those two tables at the bottom, immediately in March, we saw a 5% increase in the live release rate in our shelter. So that's the number of animals that are adopted, returned to owner, or transferred to other agencies right away. And the program only began in the middle of March, so we were super excited about that. And we're finding that it's sustainable as those numbers just kind of keep improving and going up and up. So you've got that first table that's just 2022, and the second table is kind of a comparison of this year to last year. And what I want to call out on that is the intake numbers. So this year we're seeing about a third more dogs than we did last year. We took in about 600, and last year we were at about 400. Which is typical for shelters, kind of recovering, that everybody seems to be hitting those pre-COVID numbers, that the animals are coming in at the rate that they were before COVID happened. So that's pretty normal and expected for us, but what's not expected is to have that live release rate be even greater than it was, not only back in those days, but just last year even. So I'm super excited that with more animals, we're seeing a better live release rate for the dogs, and that's really great news. It's really attributed to the play groups, and because of the play groups, we're actually able to make more dogs adoptable than we were in the past. So dogs that were shut down in their kennels, or were maybe just terrified, or just really fearful, not adjusting well, those dogs have really turned around and become more adoptable because of the addition of this play group and enrichment program. So we are super excited because of the work of our staff and volunteers. Thanks to this grant and some good training, we've really been able to make a big impact.
Fantastic. Does anybody have any questions? I did notice that we have a TV in the cat room now. Looks like that they're all very into the TV.
Yes, a generous volunteer was actually a foster of ours, and she noticed that she would set up her tablet in the cat room, and the cats would kind of chase around the mice and thing on her tablet. And so she said, hey, if we bought you a TV, would you put it up in the cat room? And we did. She was very generous. Her family went out, bought a brand new smart TV, and we got it installed. Facilities was really great. Within a day or two, they were down to help us install it. And now the cats are just loving it. Oh my goodness, some of the pictures we're capturing of these cats that are just focused on the TV, it's wonderful.
It's fantastic. And how did the adoption fee waiver go for the felines?
Wonderful. We were able to adopt out, I don't have any numbers in front of me, but well more than we expected, which is great. Last week we were probably 4 or 5 days into the event saying, oh, we're out of kittens. And the next thing you know, we were down to about 3 or 4 cats that were adoptable. So that's great.
Fantastic. And then last question is, I know we've put out openings for kennel techs and also for some handlers. How's response for that been?
Yeah, so we are excited to report that we filled the kennel technician positions. We are still looking for one more animal control officer. We have 4 out of 5 positions filled right now. We had those 2 openings for quite some time, but we did fill one of them. So just one animal control officer is what we're looking for.
Okay, great, thank you. Oh, yes, Linda.
Becky, just to clarify, but you still have cats that can be adopted, correct?
We do, and cats are coming in by the minute, by the hour. So we will always have cats for adoption, no doubt. Absolutely.
Well, I'm sure there are people here that are very relieved to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
You bet.
Okay, next we have the workforce report.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. That shows up on page 8 in your packet. It's for the month ending May 31st. Top third of the page is always is hiring activity. You can see for the month of May, we had 23 positions posted with 111 applicants. And in terms of hires, we had 23 hires in the month of May. Just as a reminder, I know I say it every month, more for the online or the streaming crowd versus the committee members, but just because a person was hired in May doesn't mean that position was posted in the month of May. Some of them were, but not all of them were. Middle third represents the ethnicity of our workforce and the diversity of our workforce. And the bottom third represents separations during the month of May. Happy to answer any questions.
Are we actively pursuing to a balance for, this ethnicity group?
Great question, Ms. Duncan. We are one of the things that we're doing is we're actively recruiting right now for a Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer position. That was a position that the board budgeted in the current year's budget. We have 6 applicants thus far, and the application deadline has not expired. So if you know of anyone that meets the requirements, there's a general description on our website. Please have them apply at peoriacounty.gov.
Thank you. Any other questions on the workforce report? Good question. Yes, absolutely. And I'm very excited about the position that we're about ready to fill. So. Okay, next we have our only resolution. So can I get a motion to put on the floor a resolution for IT security risk assessment? Thank you, Betty. Second by Linda. Okay, Mark.
Good afternoon. Coming before you today is a request for funding for IT security risk assessment. We did our first risk assessment after I arrived here in 2014 to kind of a baseline. Out of that, we got quite a few things we needed to focus on. We did another assessment, went out for bid in late 18 and did another assessment in 19. So now we're kind of on a 2-year cycle for that. We issued an RFP. We had 19 vendors from across the country come back with a response on that. Some of them pretty significant size RFPs. It took me quite a few weeks to go through those. I reviewed all those RFPs, rated those, and I'm coming back today with a recommendation for a vendor of choice for that assessment.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about the risk assessment? I had a question.
Sure.
What happens if they identify a risk?
Well, that's kind of the hope. Every assessment I had done, it's no different than an audit. There's things that come up. The hope is we don't find a major risk, but that's part of the assessment to see where we're at and what we're missing. We're at that size from an organization where I don't have a dedicated security person at the county. Just we're in that middle part. And plus, dedicated security people right now in the market are six-figure incomes, but we spread that responsibility across several. I lead that effort. But we hope, we're continuously looking all the time and engaging with organizations that provide us support from that perspective. And I'm sure they'll find some recommendations. There's always recommendations that come back on things we could do better. And, you know, we've kind of got a plan put together that we've been following through as we have funding or are able to invest funding to better protect ourselves, better to train our staff. There's a number of areas where we focus on from that perspective.
So if the risk is identified to a vendor software that we have, then do we work with the vendor to rectify that? Is that on the vendor or is it on us?
It's on the vendor, especially if they have a specific restriction. But some of those can be costly. You know, the ERP system we're putting in right now is a $2 million investment of taxpayer dollars. That's pretty much a security project. The operating system that runs on, they're not going to support anymore. That product's going away. We have to migrate to something else from a security side. So, I mean, that's a significant one. That's something we needed anyway. But we deal with that. If you look at the operating system side of things, we were ahead of the game on getting Windows 10 across the board. We don't allow anything but Windows 10 on our network. We had vendors we had to work with to be able to support that, because we're not going to support your product. We'll go find something else. We're dealing with that right now. We're our early adopters of Windows 11, regardless of what Microsoft told us that Windows 10 would be the last version. Windows 11 is coming. We're going to be required by 2025, and almost 3 years away, to be on Windows 11. We've started our first implementations of 11. All our new equipment that goes out is now on Windows 11. So, no, I mean, we make significant investments of that, but that's part of the security scope and plan that we have. So.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, thank you. All those in favor of the resolution, please state aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, resolution passes. Thank you. It was Betty and Linda. Yeah. Okay, next, let me get back to my agenda. Next is the review of executive session minutes. Do I need a motion? Yeah, so can I get a motion? Thank you, Linda. Second? Junior? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It remains a recommendation of the State's Attorney's Office that all previously held minutes continue to be held because the need for confidentiality still exists, and to destroy executive session audio recordings that are more than 2 years old unless they have to do with pending litigation.
Okay, all those who agree, please state aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Next, I need a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of pending litigation. Linda and Betty, thank you. Okay, we'll be in executive session now.